Hi, guys. Today, I'm going to share a technique so powerful, it might as well be a superpower, but it's rarely even talked about. The technique that I'm speaking of is self controlled silence when it comes to women. Now, before I break this down and all the complexities, let's take a minute to understand what this is and what it's not, because it could be used for good and for bad. But I'm really urging you guys not to use it for bad. Self controlled silence is a very misunderstood thing. It's not about being weird or boring or anything like that. It's about making a strategic choice to hold back, to listen more than you speak, to observe more than you act. For example, imagine that you're at a party. Instead of trying to be the life of the party and get attention, step back, calmly observe, and soak in your surroundings. Now, this technique might seem counterintuitive because we're told so much and so often that in order for a man to successfully get a woman, he has to chase, he has to be proactive, he has to show interest, etc. And yes, that is a piece of the puzzle because men are hunters and women are nurturers. But there's another side to this story that's another key element. It's often so overlooked, it's not even talked about really. Sometimes the loudest statement you can make is silence. The most powerful move you can make is not moving at all. There's a quote, one of my favorite quotes actually, that says, "The quietest man in the room is the deadliest." Now, of course, we're not talking about like a man literally being deadly or dangerous in terms of safety. The quote is referencing the power of self control. There's five key elements that make a quiet man deadly. One is observation. Quiet men are usually more observant. They watch and learn from everything that's happening around them. They can assess situations, understand people's motivations, and see opportunities or threats that a lot of other people might miss. Number two is self control. Quiet men usually have a strong sense of self control. They don't allow themselves to be swayed by outside sources or impulses. They think before they act and consider all possibilities and outcomes and consequences. Their actions are very calculated, they're not spontaneous at all. They choose the right moment to act for maximum impact. Number three, confidence. A quiet man is often a self-assured man. Another one of my favorite quotes says, "Confidence is silent, insecurities are loud." People who are overly loud and attention seek are typically insecure about something, and they're trying to overcompensate for it to hide that insecurity. They need external validation to feel good about themselves. Silence makes most people feel uncomfortable, so they feel the need to fill it with talking. A man who can sit comfortably in silence is a very powerful man because he shows that he's confident and he doesn't need constant conversation to feel comfortable. Number four is impact. When a man exercises his silence, it creates a sense of anticipation for everybody around him. People naturally become very curious about his thoughts. What is he thinking? What's on his mind? Why doesn't he talk? So when he finally does speak, his words carry significant weight and they have a profound impact. Number five is intelligence. Most of the time, quiet men are thinkers. That's why they're quiet. They speak less because they're busy processing information, planning their next move, and solving problems in their head. Their moves are extremely calculated, as I said before. They play chess while the majority of other people are playing checkers. I'm going to get very personal for a second and give you guys a real life personal example. Years ago, there was this guy at the local gym that I always go to. He always walked around talking extremely loud. Like every conversation this man had, he had to make sure that you could hear it. I think you guys are probably familiar with that. I'm pretty sure almost everybody listening to this or watching this has experienced this before. Like he was always flexing to make sure that people were looking, etc. Every time this man was in the gym, he had to make a whole show out of it. Now, as a lot of you know, one of my biggest pet peeves, like in life, is attention seekers. It bothers me to my core. So he was after me for a while and he asked me out on a few dates, to which I replied, "I appreciate the offer, but respectfully, I'm not interested. I don't believe in wasting people's time." So one day he asked me, "Are you just not interested in me or are you just not interested in dating anyone?" So to that, I responded, I think you're an amazing guy, but I feel like you don't know you're amazing. You try so hard to get attention, and that's not attractive to me at all. I'm not interested because it feels like you're trying to prove something. You're trying too hard. You're an extremely handsome guy. You don't have to do all of that. That's why I'm not interested. I want you to know your worth. Meanwhile, at the same gym, there was a different guy who didn't socialize too much, primarily stayed to himself, etc. So he stuck out to me. So when he respectfully approached me, I was excited to get to know him more. Silence is a powerful, underutilized tool. It's the power to let a woman reveal her thoughts, herself, and her feelings while you remain a mystery. For example, if you're on a date with a woman and you're having a conversation, instead of constantly steering the conversation, let her do the talking. When you listen, observe, and respond minimally, you draw her in with your silent attention. If you let people talk long enough, they'll tell you every single thing that you want to know. But here's the key: the key is to keep open eye contact and your attention on her. Don't do a million other things while she's talking, like reading the menu, checking your phone, etc. For silence to carry the weight that you want it to, she has to know that you're paying attention. For example, if you're texting, instead of bombarding her with message after message after message, keep your responses engaging but minimal. This will make her anticipate your messages. This is what I mean. Let's say she texts you about her day and says something like, "Hey, I had a busy day at work. How was yours?" Instead of texting a long, drawn out message detailing all the events of your day, keep it short and sweet. Something like, "Just as busy, but nothing I can't handle. Any plans for the weekend?" You're letting her know how your day was, but still keeping it vague enough to remain a mystery. See, in a world where everybody is trying to prove themselves, the way that you stand out is by remaining a mystery. See, the millionaire doesn't have to say he's a millionaire. The high quality man doesn't have to say he's a high quality man. The top 1% man that everybody likes to talk about nowadays, he doesn't have to say that he's a top 1% man. It's just known by his moves, his mannerisms, his energy, and his self control. The moment that you harness the power of self control, you become that irresistible force that women can't help but to be drawn to. So until the next video, I'll see you guys later.